I'm seeing people post smiling photos of Justin Fairfax, but barely say the name of the woman he unalived. Let's fix that.
Tonight, Virginia's former lieutenant governor, Justin Fairfax, a one-time rising Democratic star, dead, accused of and killing his wife and then turning the gun on himself.
On March 30th, a Fairfax County judge ordered Justin Fairfax to move out of the home he shared with his wife and their 2 teenage children by April 30th.
A mother taken from her children, and then he takes his own life.
Police say those final moments leading up to the deadly shots fired by former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax are still under investigation, but we know he and his wife had a contentious marriage. Police say he had just been served some divorce papers that could have been the spark here. And this morning, the home's still an active crime scene. You can see the lights are on inside. Fairfax County police units parked out front, as well as police tape up and what appears to be the couple's cars still parked in the driveway.
New video tonight shows the moments after the tragedy inside the home of the former lieutenant governor. A neighbor shared video with News 4 that were blurring, showing the 2 children moments after leaving the house where police say Justin Fairfax shot and killed his wife, Dr. Cerina Fairfax, before turning the gun himself.
Cerina Fairfax installed security cameras inside her own home, not outside, inside.
In January of this year, he actually called 911 and reported her saying that she had assaulted him, but she had actually put cameras up in the home and he did not know. So they were able to use the cameras to dispute the claims that he was making against her, as it did not take place at all.
She was living in that house with the man she was divorcing, a man who drank daily, whose side of the house was littered with empty wine bottles and piles of dirty laundry. A man who had filed a false police report claiming she had assaulted him, which police investigated and found to be untrue. A man who had purchased a handgun in 2022 with money set aside for the children's horseback riding lessons. She installed the cameras because she needed to document what was happening inside those walls, because she was building a legal case, because she understood at some level that she was not safe. Those cameras eventually showed investigators the full sequence of what happened on the night of April 16, 2026. They became evidence at her murder scene. Domestic violence advocates reviewing this case said the interior cameras were themselves a red flag, that a woman installing surveillance inside her own home to document her husband's behavior is not a normal act.
Davis says the only other time police were called to the house was back in January when Justin Fairfax accused his wife of assault. But he says cameras inside the home showed it didn't happen. He adds those cameras were still in the home and are being used in the investigation.
It is the act of someone who has assessed her situation and decided that documentation is her only protection. She was right to be afraid. She was wrong that documentation would be enough. 2 years before Dr. Cerina Fairfax was taken from this world, she had tried to leave him. She separated in the summer of 2024. She initiated the divorce in 2025. She got a court order. She got a judge to mandate breathalyzer tests before he could see the children. She got a move-out deadline of April 30th. She had 14 days left.
On March 30th, a Fairfax County judge ordered Justin Fairfax to move out of the home he shared with his wife and their 2 teenage children by April 30th.
Certainly a traumatic event for those children to live through.
Exactly 2 weeks before that date, police say Fairfax murdered his wife and then killed himself inside that home in Northern Virginia. Inside this custody order written by Judge Timothy McAvoy, extensive details about the state of the couple's marriage, the former Virginia Lieutenant Governor's mental state, and his relationship with his children leading up to the murder-suicide.
Their teenage son called 911 after midnight on April 16th. She built zip lines and chicken coops and above-ground pools for her children with her own hands. And she installed cameras in her own home because she knew something the system had not yet fully acted on. Stay with me. Subscribe right now. This channel says their names, every single one. Subscribe and stay with me. Before anything else, before the court filings and the divorce and the cameras on the night of April 16th, there was a woman named Cerina Fairfax, 49 years old. Born and raised with roots that led her to Duke University, where she met the man she would one day have to fight to leave. She earned her dental degree from VCU's School of Dentistry in 2005 and in 2015 received an alumni award from the same institution. She built her own practice, Dr. Fairfax and Associates Family Dentistry on Lee Highway in Fairfax, Virginia, and ran it as a small business owner who her patients described as unlike any healthcare provider they had ever had.
Tonight, as you can see, there are flowers here outside the front door of Dr. Cerina Fairfax's dental practice. Now, she wasn't just a politician's wife. She was an accomplished woman, a mother, and a beloved dentist here in Fairfax. Tonight, I spoke with one of her friends turned patients who says she would go out of her way to ensure everyone had access to dental care.
She was just a really great healthcare provider.
Sounds like you connected with her more than most people would connect with a medical professional.
Yeah.
What does that say about who she was, do you think?
I mean, from my perspective, she was just a wonderful human being.
I've never had a healthcare provider that would talk to me for like an hour about everything. One patient sat outside her closed office door where flowers had been placed.
I've never had a healthcare provider that would talk to me for like an hour about, everything, and she was just a really great healthcare provider.
A longtime patient named Tyrone Sims, a combat veteran who had known her for 20 years, said there was a dimple that appeared only when she was truly happy, that she was always thinking of others before herself.
It wasn't just a profession for her, right? It was an expression of love and compassion. It was her way of service to others. I'm not getting another dentist. That's how much she means to me. I just not.
What do you think she'd have to say about that?
She'd be laughing right now and tell me I'm stupid.
That she took care of patients who could not afford care and organized payment plans for families hit hardest by the pandemic. Her neighbor Erin Bay Longo watched her build an above-ground pool in the backyard, a zip line apparatus, chicken coops, a total DIY person, the kind of mother who built the world her children played in with her own hands. She trail ran with her Vizsla dogs. She practiced Bikram yoga. She read. She traveled. She served on her building's condo association board. She was, her attorney said, above all else, a devoted mother. Her children the very center of her world. She was also, for 4 years, the Second Lady of Virginia. And she was the rock of her family, carrying everything, long after that title was gone. If Cerina's story has already moved you, pause right now and subscribe. This channel exists for women like her. Hit subscribe and stay with me.
Cerina Fairfax. Anyone who knew her knew she was an amazing woman. Kind, good, a great dentist, faithful to her patients and her community, and faithful and loyal to her husband at the most difficult and dark moment ever for their marriage and for their family.
I was also unaware that there was a home. Had I been aware of those two things, and I think I speak for a couple of other people who were talking to him like me as late as Tuesday, I would have physically gone to the house and got the weapon out.
Notice this detail because it carries the weight of everything that follows. Cerina Fairfax installed the cameras herself. She did not ask Justin to install them. She did not have a security company come. She put them up inside her own home, in the space she shared with a man she was legally trying to remove from her life. Courtney Schwartz, with the Virginia Sexual and Domestic Violence Action Alliance, reviewed this case and said plainly that interior surveillance of this kind is not normal. It is a woman conducting her own threat assessment and deciding that her word without documentation will not be enough. She was right. In January 2026, Justin Fairfax walked into a police station and filed a report claiming his wife had assaulted him. Police came to the house. They reviewed Cerina's cameras. They found the claim to be untrue. The false report was not pursued.
In January of this year, he actually called 911 and reported her saying that she had assaulted him, but she had actually put cameras up in the home and he did not know. So they were able to use the cameras to dispute the claims that he was making against her, as it did not take place at all.
But here is what the law did not do after that false report. It did not remove the gun. It did not accelerate the move-out order. It did not treat a man who filed a false assault claim against the wife he was divorcing while living under the same roof as a heightened lethality risk. It investigated. It cleared her. It moved on. The cameras that Cerina installed to protect herself ultimately documented her murder instead. A Fairfax County police chief confirmed after her death that interior home surveillance footage corroborated the sequence of events investigators found at the scene. She built the evidence of her own case. And the system still did not move fast enough to protect her. Drop a comment below. Say her name, Cerina Fairfax. I read every single one. To understand what Cerina was living with inside that home, you need to understand what happened to Justin Fairfax across the 7 years before April 16th. He was, at his peak, a rising star. Elected Lieutenant Governor of Virginia in 2017. Sworn in alongside Governor Ralph Northam in January 2018. Considered by many in the Democratic Party as a future national figure. Young, polished, Harvard educated, with a compelling personal story tracing his family's roots back to slavery. Then, 2019, 2 women came forward with sexual assault allegations, both incidents described as occurring years before his marriage to Cerina. He denied them completely, called for investigations, said he was confident the truth would clear him. He was never charged. The allegations were never resolved in any formal legal proceeding, but his political career never recovered. In 2021, he lost the Democratic gubernatorial primary. He left office at the end of his term in 2022 and returned to private law practice. His legal work largely dried up. Debt accumulated. The man who had once been Virginia's second highest elected official was, by 2025, financially dependent on his wife's dental practice to keep the household running. A judge presiding over the divorce described Justin Fairfax as having undefined emotional and psychological issues that were in fact defining him. Court records, built from Cerina's own testimony, show what life inside that house looked like. Isolation, daily drinking, empty wine bottles filling his side of the home, piles of dirty laundry, periods where he would only emerge from isolation to smoke and reach for more alcohol. He had not complied with the post-nuptial agreement. He was not contributing to the mortgage, groceries, or utilities. Cerina was carrying it all. The children, the home, the practice, while living in the same house as a man whose mental health a judge said was in crisis.
The judge wrote it was difficult to imagine the degree to which Fairfax's world must have been damaged by sexual assault allegations made by 2 women who he knew when he was a much younger man. He described Fairfax as an ascendant political figure on the cusp of making a credible run for governor of Virginia, and these allegations appear to have put an end to those plans. He said it was clear the trauma experienced by Fairfax related to those allegations had not been fully processed, and the isolation, drinking, and lack of participation in family life were manifestations of what seems to be a sense of fatalism and hopelessness.
She was supporting him financially while building a legal case to remove him from her home. That is the specific documented reality of what Cerina Fairfax was managing in the months before April 16th. This is the part of the story that explains why Cerina was still in that house and why so many women in her exact situation are still in their houses right now. Virginia law requires couples to be separated for 6 months before a divorce can be granted and for 1 year if children are involved. The Fairfaxes had 2 teenage children. 1 year of documented separation before the court could finalize the divorce. They separated in the summer of 2024. Divorce proceedings began in 2025, but separation under Virginia law does not require separate addresses. It requires separate intent, documented separately, living separately within the same home if finances demand it. The Fairfaxes were sleeping in separate bedrooms, living separate lives under the same roof. Courtney A. Schwartz from the Virginia Sexual and Domestic Violence Action Alliance said finances are often the reason couples remain under the same roof during separation, even when it is dangerous. Justin Fairfax had accumulated debt. His legal career had collapsed. Cerina was the financial engine of this household. There was no separate apartment, no separate life he could move into. The financial architecture of their marriage had left them locked together in a house that was becoming increasingly unsafe. Because she could not afford to force a physical separation sooner and the law did not require one, Senator Russet Perry, who has prosecutorial experience with domestic violence cases, put it plainly. When people in crisis are kept in a powder keg with difficulty separating, it can exacerbate things. The financial trap is not a coincidence in domestic violence cases. It is a mechanism. It is one of the primary tools of coercive control, whether intentional or structural, that keeps women like Cerina Fairfax inside homes that are dangerous while following every legal step available to them. She was doing everything right. The system that was supposed to help her move faster was, in part, the system trapping her in place. Share this video right now, because this is the part that nobody is talking about. The financial trap that kept her in that house. Share it for Cerina. Here's the detail that Virginia legislators are now describing as a terribly painful irony. 6 years before he took his wife's life, Justin Fairfax cast the tie-breaking vote in the Virginia Senate to pass the state's red flag law. The law that allows courts to temporarily confiscate firearms from individuals deemed at risk of harming themselves or others. He was the deciding vote. Without him, the law does not pass. In 2022, the same year Cerina was building her legal case and documenting his behavior, Justin Fairfax purchased a handgun with money set aside for his children's horseback riding lessons. His brother later found him alone in a park at night with that gun. The brother intervened. He facilitated a conversation with a mental health professional in a mall parking lot late at night. Dell. Rip Sullivan, the legislator who has spent years working on Virginia's gun safety laws, reviewed that moment after Cerina's death and said it directly. That moment might have been one where the updated red flag law could have come into play. And had it been law at that time, it was not yet law and the form needed. And so the gun stayed. In the weeks after Cerina Fairfax's death, Governor Abigail Spanberger signed 2 new bills updating Virginia's red flag law. Bills that expand who can petition a judge for a protective order. Bills that create faster pathways for gun removal in exactly the kind of situation that existed in the Fairfax home. They were signed after she died. Signed because she died. The man who cast the deciding vote for a law that was designed to prevent this exact kind of tragedy used the gun that law was designed to remove. Dell. Sullivan said 3 words. Terribly painful irony. 3 words that carry the full weight of every warning sign that existed and every legal mechanism that did not move fast enough. By April 16, 2026, the formal legal machinery around Justin Fairfax had been closing in for months. A judge had ordered him to move out of the Annandale home by April 30th. He had been required to submit to breathalyzer tests before spending time with his children. Documentation of his daily drinking had reached the court. He was scheduled to appear on April 21st for a potential contempt of court judgment. He had not complied with previous court orders. On the night of April 16th, he was served court papers. Police Chief Kevin Davis said at the press conference that the serving of those papers may have been the spark. The children were home. Both teenage children, a son and a daughter who had grown up watching their mother build them a world in the backyard while their father withdrew from everything around him. They were home. They heard whatever happened in those hours. And their son, a teenager, called 911. Davis said the violence unfolded quickly. Little to no gap between the shooting and the 911 call. Cerina Fairfax had 14 days left until his court-mandated deadline to leave. She had a lawyer. She had court orders. She had cameras. She had a judge who had seen the evidence and written that tensions in the Fairfax home had been extremely high for an extended period. She was 12 days from the contempt hearing, 14 days from the move-out deadline. The system had seen everything, and it had not yet moved fast enough. Her name was Dr. Cerina Fairfax, 49 years old, dentist, mother, builder of zip lines and chicken coops and above-ground pools for children who were the center of her world, trail runner, yogi. The woman whose patients said they could tell she was truly happy by the way a dimple appeared when she smiled. She was the second lady of Virginia. She stood beside a man who rose and fell and drank and isolated and filed a false report against her and bought a gun with her children's lesson money. And she documented all of it. She built the case. She got the court orders. She installed the cameras. She did everything a woman in her situation is told to do. She was 14 days from the deadline. She was not protected. Her children are now with their grandparents. Flowers have been placed outside the closed door of her dental practice by patients who loved her. The state of Virginia has signed new laws in the week since she passed. Laws that might have made a difference had they existed sooner. Governor Spamberger said it herself. This tragedy reminds us that domestic violence can occur in any family and in any place. Cerina Fairfax was a doctor and a former second lady, and she still could not get out fast enough. That is not a failure of Cerina. That is a failure of every system that saw what was happening and did not move at the speed her situation demanded. For Cerina's children, you were the center of her world. She built everything for you. She fought for you. She is still fighting for you through every law that is being changed in her name. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Available 24 hours a day. Say her name in the comments. Dr. Cerina Wanzer Fairfax. She deserved 14 more days. She deserved a lifetime. What part of this story do you think the system failed her most? Tell me below. I read every comment. I will see you in the next one.